of dirt, known to put in work, and anything it didn't kill it critically hurt. Got found by Geneva, and she shot Bert, then dumped it in the trash can on the way to work. Then Rock discovered it when he was throwing away a 40 ounce. Got jumped at the club, shot at the party and bounced, hit it of course. But came back and got it later. It was something different about this gun. It had a voice in it. When it was speaking, you think you're tweaking. Hang with me and catch a case on the weekend. Leave bodies leaking, deadly bark of a pit bull. Utterance of a Puerto Rican got in the hands of whoop whoop. When the cops swooped the Caprice coupe, they picked it up before it was seen by troops in large groups with loud oops. Petrified, he grabbed the gun and tried to hide from the curse of a full clip. The curse of a full clip. You can't hide from the curse of a full clip. Now it's in the hands of no name in a dice game. Who just shot his baby mama and her mama with no shame. Now see how far this came. Now who can we blame for that accurate aim that built the wig of that dame? I must admit, there's nothing worse than the curse of a full clip. Taking instructions from a gun with no lip. Tombstones read rip, no matter blood or crip. And no chance for sunshine when the body bag zip. Shot in the chest after a fist fight. Dropped the gun out of sweater running from the scene at night. And nah, it ain't right. It was found by some kids that morning. I heard the shots when I was yawning. Mentally disturbed when I saw a 13-year-old kid on the curb dead with hot lead to the head. All other kids fled. I called the ambulance, but it was still hard for me to get to bed. The curse of a full clip. Once you touch that gun.
Over here.
The curse of a full
Pick
clip.
me up. You don't know it yet, but you're gonna need me.
The curse of a full clip.
See, I told you. We don't have to worry about nothing. Let's go get that money. And let's go get that money in the studio.
As sweet as revenge, payback will make you cringe. Just what you always wanted to, get killed with a friend. Leave the scene with a grin and your chain in my hand. You wanted to call bleed with your blood in your hand. Dust you off and don't even smoke your man.
What are you doing?
Spit where you land.
You
know what I'm saying? Got the whole church praying, no plan. Memories of the living, but dead from AK. And been on the run all day and most of the night. Hanging around the neighborhood dodging, looking for a flight. Arguing with a pistol, with the voice of a pistol. The deep-rooted revenge like the Count of Monte Cristo. The curse of a full clip.
Nigga bust on my cousin Tasha, nigga, and her mom, nigga. For real, nigga.
The curse of a full clip.
You know what I'm saying? I just found a 380, man. Believe it or not, throw away.
The curse of a full clip. Don't even pick it up. Just walk right on past it.
In Oakland, California, the search for power began on the streets. Blacks had little say in how their community was run. In particular, many questioned the role of the police.
The police throughout the black communities in the country were really the government. We had more contact with the police than we did the city council. The police were universally disliked.
The size of the mostly white police force was increasing. So were complaints of police brutality. Influenced by freedom struggles in the South and in third world nations, in 1966, Huey Newton and Bobby Seale formed the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, a symbol taken from a Lowndes County, Alabama political organization. Armed with law books and with guns, the Black Panthers monitored the actions of the police in the black community.
I remember one of these first events when we got out of the car. We saw a policeman, making an arrest of some kind, about 20 or 30 people in the community standing to the side watching. And the black folks, one of them says, "Hey, who are these people? Hey, man, this guy got, hey, man, I'm gonna move out of here. These guys got guns and stuff like that."
They were out looking at what the police were doing. We had officers stopping a car, and then we would have a carload full of these Black Panther people pull up behind them and watch them and see what they were doing. They were looking at what the police were doing.
We would follow the police around, and when the police would arrest or detain someone, we would read their rights to them.
And it came down to some point where the policeman says, "What are you doing with those guns?" And Huey says, "Well, we got ours to defend ourselves and to observe you." And the police, "You have no right to observe me." And Huey, with all his law study, because he was in night law school at the time, California State Supreme Court ruling states that everyone has a right to observe a police officer carrying out his duty as long as they stand a reasonable distance away, and a reasonable distance was constituted in that particular California Supreme Court ruling as 8 to 10 feet. I'm standing approximately 22 feet from you. I will observe you carry out your duty whether you like it or not. The black community saying, well, go ahead on and tell it.
The boldness of the Panther actions attracted young blacks, many in their teens. Carrying loaded firearms in public was a well-protected legal right in California. But with the emergence of the Black Panthers, state officials introduced legislation to outlaw loaded firearms within city limits. May 1967. In protest, the Panthers traveled to Sacramento, the state capital.
We arrived there, all these black men and women, 24 males and 6 females with guns. And Ronald Reagan, then the governor, was on the lawn with 200 future leaders of America, 12 and 13 and 14-year-old kids. And these kids started leaving his session on the lawn and coming to see us. And these young white kids thought we were a gun club.
Knowing the media would be there, the group of men and women then entered the Capitol building.
Heavily armed, whether their weapons are loaded or not, nobody seems to know.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Are you under arrest? Am I under arrest? Am I under arrest? You place him under arrest. Am I under arrest? Take your hands off me if I'm not under arrest. If I'm under arrest, I'll come. If I'm not, don't put your hands on me.
Is this the way the racist government works? Don't let a man exercise his constitutional rights?
If my sweater's ripped, you will get...
I'd like to make a statement now with this respect. Statement of the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense on the Mulford Act now pending before the California legislature. The Black Panther Party for Self-Defense calls upon the American people in general and the black people in particular to take full note of the racist California legislature, which is now considering legislation aimed at keeping the black people disarmed and powerless at the very same time that racist police agencies throughout the country are intensifying the terror, brutality, murder, and repression of black people.
A nation that had grown used to the nonviolent civil rights movement was now confronted with new images of black protests. Later, at a Sacramento service station, news cameras documented the continuing debate over law and guns.
Ain't no sawed-off, that's a riot shotgun just like yours.
You don't know the Constitution, right?
Sure we do. We're well aware of the Constitution.
You have no right to take my gun away from me. You break the Constitution right.
The pamphlet says that the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense calls on the American people in general to take careful note of the racist California legislature. Why do you believe the legislature is racist?
Don't you know? You're a part of it, and you're obviously, it's a white system. It's obviously where we are.
Do you believe everything that's in that pamphlet?
The pamphlet speaks for itself. It was like being a part of a movement that you had seen on TV, and now being able to participate and share in that movement. When you heard talk about Malcolm, seen Malcolm on TV at that time, you had heard and talked about Stokely Carmichael, Rap Brown, and SNCC, and what have you, and all the different things that were happening, and to become a part of a movement that had encompassed all your different concepts and ideals in its own creative way. It brought a sense of pride. But there was the doubts and the fear of whether you were going to survive or exist, but which became a part of your makeup, and you went on and took care of business the way you had to.
The Panthers had not violated California gun law. They were charged instead with disturbing the peace. 6 Panthers, including Chairman Bobby Seale, were convicted.
Well, as Chief Deputy Attorney General, I'd had experience, and the Department of Justice of the state of California had experience in the 1960s, prior to this time, with a variety of nut groups, both extreme left and extreme right, who were running around with guns thinking that they could solve the problems of California and the world through direct militant action. And we were and had been well informed, and in some cases had surveillance upon extreme groups that carried weapons. When these characters came along, we thought they were another irritating part of the bouillabaisse that was starting to bubble all over California. We needed them like a severe case of a bad disease.
The Black Panther Party's style and dramatic actions captured the attention of the media, yet the Panthers often disagreed with the way they were portrayed.
Examiner made a report back here in the last Sunday's paper that we were anti-white, that we hold no bones, this is a quote, pick no bones about being anti-white. This is a bold-faced lie. We don't hate nobody because of their color. We hate oppression. We hate murder of black people in our communities. We hate the gross unemployment that exists in our communities. We hate black men being taken off into the military service to be fighting for a racist, decadent American promising us freedom.
To present their story and their program for social change, the Black Panthers created a national newspaper. Language and art were important tools of the new party.
I knew that images had to be changed. I know sociologically that words, the power of the words stigmatize people, and we felt that the police needed a label other than that fear image that they carried in the community. So we used the pig as a rather low-lifted animal in order to identify the police, and it worked.
Some feared the reaction that the Panthers' stance might provoke.
We'll just have to get guns and be
My parents or my neighbors were kind of reluctant, kind of standoffish in their attitudes towards the Black Panther Party, because here you had a new dynamic kind of organization coming out doing things that never had been done in the history of this country before. Carrying guns, standing up to the police, standing up to the power structure.
Eldridge Cleaver, who had gained fame from his writings in prison, was the chief spokesman for the party.
And we feel that the police must be brought under control by any means necessary, including through force of arms. And we have never bit our tongue about that. We say it now loud and clear. We will always say it. We're not afraid to say it, that these racist Gestapo pigs have to stop brutalizing our community, or we're going to take up guns, we're going to drive them out.